Right now, there's a sloth hanging in a tree that hasn't moved in 6 hours, not because it's resting, but because it's too weak to lift its own arm. And here's the crazy part. In one bathroom trip, it'll lose 1/3 of its body weight. Everyone thinks sloths have the perfect life, but the truth is, they're trapped in bodies that are slowly killing them. I have spent 48 hours researching sloth biology, and what I discovered will completely change how you see these animals forever. In fact, by the end of this video, you'll see why being a sloth isn't cute or relaxing. It's a nightmare in slow motion. So let's count down the top 10 reasons why being a sloth really sucks, starting with number 10. You're basically a walking salad bar. Imagine if your hair was so dirty and gross that plants literally started growing on it. That's exactly what happens to sloths. Their fur is so filthy and moves so little that algae, yes, actual green plants, begin growing all over their bodies. Now you might think, hey, that's kind of cool, like natural camouflage. But here's the thing. This algae doesn't just sit there looking pretty. It attracts insects, moths, beetles, and other creepy crawlies that make their homes in the sloth fur, treating it like their personal apartment complex. So not only are you covered in plant life, but you're also a mobile bug hotel. Every day, you wake up with dozens of insects crawling all over your body, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it because you move too slowly to scratch or clean yourself properly. But if you think having a bug-infested fur is bad, wait until you hear the next problem sloths face. Your bathroom breaks are life or death missions. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Sloths only poop once a week, and when they do, it's not just inconvenient, it's potentially deadly. Picture this nightmare scenario. You've been holding it in for 7 whole days. Your stomach is bloated, you're uncomfortable, and you know you can't wait any longer. But here's the catch. You can't just poop where you are. You have to climb all the way down from your safe place, which takes forever, because you move at the speed of a snail. When the sloth successfully makes it to the ground, its whole safety is gone. Up in the trees, it can at least try to blend in, but once it steps onto the forest floor, every predator has the advantage over it. Predators like jaguars and ocelots are well aware of this routine. So they always wait for this very one moment when the sloth is about to do its bathroom business. Then they attack. A sloth sitting at the bottom of a tree is almost like free food. It can't run, it can't fight, and it's too slow to escape. And here's the part that makes it even worse. When a sloth finally manages to poop, they lose about 1/3 of their body weight. That's like a 150-pound person suddenly weighing 100 pounds after one bathroom trip. Scientists still don't fully understand why sloths risk their life every week just to poop. Meanwhile, they can just do it in the trees, which keep them safe. But one thing's for sure, it's a very terrifying process. Speaking of terrifying, number 8 will make you appreciate your life more. Everything wants to eat you. If you're a sloth, you're basically a slow-moving happy meal for every predator in the rainforest. Hawks swoop down from above, jaguars stalk you from below, and snakes slither through the trees, hunting for an easy target. The worst part? You can't run away. While other animals can sprint, jump, or fight back, sloths move so slowly that their top speed is about 6 feet per minute. That's slower than most people walk when they're trying to be quiet in a library. Their only defense is to hang perfectly still and hope their algae-covered fur helps you blend in with the trees. Imagine living every single day knowing that you're defenseless against pretty much everything that wants to hurt you. It's like being in a horror movie where you can't run, can't hide effectively, and can't fight back. But being prey isn't even the worst part of sloth life. Next on our list makes their life way more miserable. You're basically always starving. Sloths don't have a normal stomach like us. Their stomach is split into 4 different parts, kind of like rooms in a house. This is the same type of stomach cows have. You'll hear this and think, oh, that must be a good thing. But for sloths, it's not. Having 4 stomach chambers only makes things worse for them. Food takes forever to move through each of those rooms. Here's where it gets interesting. Sloths only eat leaves, and leaves are basically nutritional garbage. They're so low in calories and nutrients that sloths have to eat constantly just to survive. But their stomachs are so slow at digesting that food can sit in there for up to a month, which makes them hungry and full at the same time. Imagine eating a big meal, but instead of feeling full, you're still hungry because your stomach is taking forever to turn the food into energy. At the same time, your stomach is packed with food that just sit there, making you heavy, tired, and slow. It's like being on the world's worst diet where you're always hungry, always full, and never getting the nutrition you need. Some sloths literally starve to death with stomachs full of food because their digestive system is so inefficient. And if you think being constantly hungry is bad, wait until you hear about the social nightmare that greatly affects them. You're the loneliest creature on Earth. Sloths are so antisocial that they make hermits look like party animals. These creatures spend their entire lives alone, hanging from trees, with zero social interaction. Think about your worst day of social anxiety, then multiply that by your entire lifetime. That's the daily life of sloths. They don't have friends, they don't hang out in groups, and they barely even interact with other sloths for mating. When they do occasionally bump into another sloth, which is very rare, they usually just ignore each other and move on. But here's the really sad part. Sloths are not antisocial. They don't just have anyone to hang out with, since almost everything is faster than them. As a matter of fact, scientists think sloths sometimes crave for companionship. They've observed sloths making high-pitched crying sounds when they're isolated, almost like they're calling out for someone that never comes, which is very sad if you think about it. Imagine spending your entire existence hanging alone in a tree, with no one to talk to, no one to share experiences with, and no social connections whatsoever. It's like being in permanent solitary confinement, except the prison is a rainforest and the sentence is life. But loneliness isn't the only mental torture sloths endure. Number 5 is about a fear that haunts them every single day. You're terrified of water, but live in a rainforest. Here's a cosmic joke. Sloths live in rainforests, places where it rains constantly, but they're absolutely terrified of getting wet. When it starts raining, sloths go into panic mode. They can't move fast enough to hide, so when the rain comes, they just hang there getting soaked, looking stressed and uncomfortable. Their fur, which is already a mess of algae and a 5-star hotel for insects, becomes waterlogged and even heavier. But here's the really cruel part. Sloths are actually decent swimmers when they have to be, but they're so afraid of water that they avoid it at all costs. It's like being afraid of the one thing you're naturally equipped to handle. Every rainstorm becomes a traumatic experience that you have to suffer through in slow motion. And speaking of suffering in slow motion, number 4 reveals the most frustrating aspect of sloth life. Your brain runs on dial-up internet. Sloths don't just move slowly, they also think slowly too. Their brains are so energy efficient that they basically run on power-saving mode 24/7. Their brain takes several minutes just to process a single information. A hawk could be diving toward them, and by the time their brain registers danger, it's already too late to react. This isn't just about being slow. It's about living in a constant state of confusion and delayed reactions, which makes surviving even harder. Sloths often look like they're staring off into space, but really, they're just trying to figure out what's going on around them. It's like having the worst case of brain fog, except it never goes away. You're always 3 steps behind everything happening in your environment, which makes an already dangerous world even more terrifying. Going into number 3, we have something way worse. You can't regulate your own body temperature. Unlike most animals, sloths can't control their own body temperature. This means they depend completely on the weather around them. When the air turns cold, their body slows almost to a stop, which makes their already slow movement even slower. When the air turns hot, it's just as bad. Their body starts to overheat, and if it gets too extreme, they can die from heat stroke. So every day, a sloth has to spend hours trying to find a place where the temperature isn't too hot or cold, like a really slow and sad version of Goldilocks. But here's the crazy part. Because they move so slowly, they can't quickly adjust their position when the temperature changes. So if the sun moves and suddenly their spot becomes too hot, it might take them an hour just to move to another spot, assuming they don't overheat before they even get there. It's like being trapped in a body that can't adapt to its environment, making every day a struggle for basic survival. And if you think temperature regulation is a nightmare, wait until you hear about number 2. You're basically disabled by your own body. Sloths have the lowest metabolic rate of any mammal on Earth. Their bodies are so energy efficient that they're essentially running on minimum power at all times. This means sloths can't do basic things that other animals take for granted. They can't run from danger, they can't quickly climb to safety, and they can't even scratch an itch without it being a major undertaking. Their muscles are so weak and their movements so limited that they're essentially prisoners in their own bodies. Imagine wanting to move your arm but having to wait several seconds for your brain to send the signal, then several more seconds for your muscles to actually respond. Then one whole month for your own food to digest. That's like having the worst chronic fatigue syndrome you can ever imagine, where every single movement requires enormous effort and planning. Simple tasks become epic journeys, and there's no cure, no treatment, and no hope of improvement. But as terrible as all of these things are, nothing compares to the last horror. You're literally dying a slow death every day. Here's the most saddest parts of a sloth's life. Their entire lifestyle is basically slow suicide. Because they move so slowly and eat only leaves that take forever to digest, they are constantly on the edge of starving to death. Sometimes they can't eat again until the last meal finally digests, and by then, it's too late. That's why many sloths are found dead, still hanging from trees. What makes this really terrible is that they can be dead while hanging in trees and nobody will ever notice they're dead. Because, well, a dead sloths look pretty much the same as living sloths, so you definitely can't blame anyone for not noticing. It's like living your entire life on the edge of a cliff, knowing that any small push could send you over, but being too slow to step back to safety. Every day is a struggle, just to make it to the next day, with no hope of things ever getting better. So the next time someone tells you they want to live like a sloth, remind them of these 10 reasons why that would actually be a living nightmare. What do you think? Did any of these sloth facts surprise you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this countdown, make sure to subscribe for more amazing animal facts that'll change how you see the natural world forever.